Hello, I'm Llewellyn King for MECFS Alert. I have been writing and broadcasting about this dreadful disease for about 4 years now, and if there's one thing that disappoints me, it's how little progress has been made, how it goes on and on year after year, arguments about funding, arguments about the need for research, arguments about definitions, arguments about how we're going to approach the subject in the future, arguments about the institutions that speak for the sick and speak for the caregivers. It is all very dispiriting. But I want you, the sick and the caregivers, to realize that you are not alone, that in the misery, the isolation, the terrible loneliness of the sickbed, you are not alone. There are other people in similar circumstances, and there are very good minds working on the disease. We're about to see a big change, a sort of sea change in the doctors that have borne the battle for so long. Now some of them are retiring, and it is time for new, young, energetic people with new views, new ideas, and new passions to take up the fight to find a cure. My purpose is to tell you as simply as I can, because one's vocabulary is stretched to the breaking point trying to speak about MECFS. My point is to tell you again and again that you are not alone, and that eventually a cure will be found. My view of this disease is that it confiscates lives, takes them away, locks them in a dungeon and throws the key away, so that life goes on in a very reduced, painful, almost subhuman way, year after year, while we argue about funding, argue about definitions. That is atrocious. The amount of money spent on this disease is pitiably little. And now some researchers, like Dr. Ian Lipkin in New York, are having to go to crowdfunding to do the basic things that need to do. At least there is now a general national sensitivity to viral disease, and we may see a general expansion in programs seeking cures and seeking corrections to viral epidemics. Possibly out of this will come some treatment, some way of looking differently at this disease and finally conquering it. I feel so badly that I cannot any longer use words like heart-rending, heartbreaking, because I have seen such suffering in the sick rooms of people with the disease. One awful situation where the caregiver simply couldn't cope. His wife and his daughter were both seriously affected. In another instance, a talented life was stopped, and the productivity, the joy was drained from this life. The victim is alive, she's a close friend of mine, but the life is not the life it was, not the life she is forced to lead, or the life that she had. This is a disease that confiscates, it imprisons, and it is really appalling that our government, our great research institutions, and the big foundations ignore it, treat the sufferers as some sort of nuisance. One hopes that a new Congress, new people in government, new assistant secretaries and secretaries that will be coming soon to the departments may take a new, fresh look, recognize the crying need to do something about MECFS very soon. The suffering should not be allowed to go on.